All right, now we're here. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, friends. Hello,
Hello.
chat. Oh, I never fixed my
Hello.
camera like I said I was going to do.
I know, and I brought it up earlier.
I know you did.
Because of this very
I know
reason.
you did.
All right,
Well,
now we're here.
but
Hello.
the
Hello,
button
everyone.
didn't work
Hello,
how I wanted
friends.
to.
Hello.
Chat. Oh, I
Blame
never
it on the
fixed my...
buttons, right?
I always blame it on the buttons. You know,
Blame
Johnny...
it on the alcohol, blame it on the buttons. Those are the two
I'll tell you
things.
who I blame it on. I blame it on Johnny Buttons,
Johnny Buttons.
my lawyer and confidant. I trusted him, and I shouldn't have. Oh!
Oh, there he goes. He left.
Oh, man. Hello, Janine. Hello, John. We're flying right up off this. Celebration just has us so excited that we're flying right off the screen. But anyways, we've got not so much news as last time, as yesterday, but we've got some news, some stuff that we still wanted to go live and talk about. I know, Frank, you were particularly excited about the new Lego sets that were announced.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What did they announce?
Well, so this wasn't actually on my notes, but I did think it was kind of cool. I don't know if have you seen the dioramas? They have like the Dagobah diorama and the Trench Run diorama.
Yes.
So they have two new Return of the Jedi ones. They have the speeder bike chase and the throne room. So
very cool.
Those are those are pretty neat. Well, they're just so expensive, you know. Matty Gunner live from Star Wars Celebration itself.
How did he find the time?
I don't know. Well, he probably left Celebration because there's no cell service in the convention center.
Don't they have Wi-Fi? Don't have the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Do they not have free Wi-Fi at the convention center?
I thought they did.
And I think, you know what? Gunnar actually sent us some videos.
Did he?
Yeah.
Are they appropriate?
Yes, they are. I don't know. The problem is I can't download them from Twitter, so I'll just have to screen share them, but I do want to show them.
Is it a mosh pit?
No, sadly. Okay. But some really cool droids from Celebration.
Great.
But I'm trying to think of the best way to get them. Maybe we might save those till Monday. And I'll have Maddie send them to me in a Google Drive or something. Sure. But anyways, there's some new Lego sets announced. I'm curious because last Celebration they actually announced a good handful. Because I do care about Lego. I like Legos.
I like Legos. Although I haven't bought a set in like a long time.
Well, I bought the BD one that they revealed at Celebration last year.
I want that one too, actually.
It's a fun kit and it looks good. It doesn't even look like a Lego set.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want to get it, most especially because it looks fun to build and it's an awesome droid. I love BD1. So.
I will say, Galaxy's Edge Disneyland has a BD1 like toy you can buy now, little remote control BD1.
Oh, right. I think I did see that.
But it is black and yellow for some reason.
Black and yellow.
Which is it's one of the
Pittsburgh. From Pittsburgh. It's a Pittsburgh droid. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the BD1s from the game. It's one of the skins you could use from the game.
Skins, yeah.
But
you know what? They should make city color coordinated BD1 droids. You know, Pittsburgh's black and
sports
yellow.
teams.
Yes, like sports teams. BD1 should sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl this coming season.
Here's my color-coded BD1 question. Is LA blue and white or is it purple and gold?
You could have both.
Okay.
More money for Disney.
What are Kings? Kings are black and silver now. They used to be purple and silver. Or
I don't know. They were ever purple and silver.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're not an LA. You're not an LA native. I forget that.
I've only known them as black and silver. Same like the Raiders, which is not LA anymore, but.
Right.
You could do Rams with blue and yellow.
Blue and gold. I'm cool with blue. Well, you do. I think you do Dodger blue and gold.
That's
because then you cover Raiders, Dodgers, Chargers.
I guess. Yeah. Well, who cares about the Chargers?
No one. And you kind of cover Lakers there too with gold.
Yeah.
But all right,
Wow. Who would have thought we could merge Star Wars and sports talk?
especially me. I don't give a fuck about sports.
Oh
I
man.
mean, I watch a little bit of football, but not a whole hell of a
Yeah.
lot. All right, I think we're gonna start. We're just gonna break down the two Twitter threads, for the Ahsoka panel and the High Republic panel. So I'll pull one up. You pull another one up. Who are you pulling up for the Ahsoka panel?
What? This wasn't discussed upon.
No, it wasn't. I just thought about it. So I'll
Yeah,
pull. I'll tell you what. You pull up the Star Wars Explained Twitter thread for the Ahsoka panel.
Those Twitter threads.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So you pull up the
okay.
Star Wars Explained one, and I will pull up another one, so that we both have two different sets of information, just in case we both miss something. I will pull up the Laura Kelly thread because I know she was in there too.
Yeah.
I think both of the panels we want to talk to. I think both. Oh, that's where I got that image. The one we aren't showing.
Oh, from Laura.
That's
Kelly?
from Laura. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I
So-
just want to be safe, you know. I don't want to
I
be safe.
I totally get it, and I totally understand. I don't agree with it, but
I mean, it's not like it's
no,
a
I'm
difference
I'm
between-
totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
if someone said a guaranteed million views, I'd chill out for that. But
Yeah.
no, that's a bad way to go about it too.
No, but you're right. No, but you're right. Oh, Tales from the Jedi Season 2 announced. I did not see that, so I don't know where that's...
Hell yeah, nice, very nice.
So, let's hit Ahsoka real quick. So they started the panel. They started the panel showing some concept art from Ahsoka, like pre-Clone Wars concept art, which is pretty neat. I really like the design. I don't know that I like it better than what we got, but it's just kind of interesting to see. It's a little more of the time, whereas I think Clone Wars is... the art style they ended up with Clone Wars is a little more timeless, or a little more of maybe ahead of its time, I think. They brought out the whole cast. We don't need to go through who was there and who wasn't. But for the most part, they talked a lot about their characters. A few things that I caught of note was Rosario talking about Sabine and Ezra's relationship as
Interesting.
as quote powerful.
Not a dyad.
Not a dyad per se, but that they have a powerful relationship, which is interesting. It does seem like Natasha Liu Bordizio and Mary Elizabeth Winstead have a definite camaraderie playing their two characters, which I thought was pretty cool.
Natasha is playing the. How do they describe her character?
She's Sabine, I think. Isn't she? She's Sabine.
I'm a dummy.
No, you're fine. You're fine. They make a point of saying Hera's a general now, and that she's coming into her life as a very maternal figure and incredible leader. So I'm wondering if we're going to see Jason, or where is Jason?
I think Hera left him at daycare the entire time.
Even
though he's probably like 15 or something.
Think he's on Riot. Well, no, he'd be 6, maybe
6. Yeah, because
maybe 7. No, hold on.
We don't know exactly when that epilogue is taking place.
Right. And I guess
also,
they've kind of said that some of this is before the epilogue, that the epilogue is later.
Yeah,
but then again, if it's Kanan's kid,
right? It's like 9 months plus 6. Right.
Maybe it's like not biologically Kanan's kid, but like metaphysically, it's maybe it's like Anakin. Maybe it's like Anakin. Because we don't ever see Hera pregnant, but then again, I guess we don't really see Hera for a year after.
Yeah, we don't.
Kanan dies.
So, and also, it would be.
Yo, she's flying in the Battle of Scarif,
Andor.
pregnant.
And oh, that's right.
Hello,
The baby
Jane.
on board. Leave me.
Baby on board! Stop it, TIE fighters!
Had that
Baby
voice.
train. The baby train has
What?
arrived.
Oh my god.
Oh man. And then Rosario talks about how Rosario talked a lot about how much she was emulating Ashley Eckstein,
Yeah.
which is super cool to hear. She talks about how much she loves the character's fearlessness and inability to hesitate and stuff like that, and that everyone she's operating with on the Rebels crew basically are at her level. Which is just a super interesting way of seeing things, because I think we think of Ahsoka as a very competent individual during the time of the Rebellion and the time of the New Republic, whereas I don't know, the Ghost crew, they're competent, but they're also kind of screwball-y, they fuck up,
Yeah.
and I don't really think of Ahsoka post Clone Wars as fucking up that much.
No, not really.
Right? She's kind of the Gandalf figure.
Yeah. I mean, she gets small. That's not easy.
She doesn't waver. She doesn't, she's just very
I mean, you just watched the Siege of Mandalore,
right.
telling me she's a very competent individual, whether or not she's labeled a Jedi or not. Which, I mean, she's not a Jedi technically, but
they keep. It's funny because I did bring that up during the panel too. They keep mentioning that Ahsoka is not. So in marketing, they are very quick to call Ahsoka a Jedi.
So in the trailer, they pop up the labels, if you will. These are things that she is or was. That's how I view it.
Well, I view it as marketing, right? I don't view it as one thing or another. I just view it as hey, someone who doesn't know the character, yeah, she's a Jedi, right?
Citizen.
It
would be funny if they had that in the Ahsoka trailer. Rebel, Jedi,
fugitive,
fugitive,
dancer. I don't need her hobbies. That doesn't,
Right. I don't need her. Her Bumble profile on.
Oh, what was I saying? Oh, they brought up that she's not a Jedi. There's actually a really good poll quote, and it's going to be farther down from here, but she said she's not a Jedi, but she strives for good, and she's going after the threats that she sees that other people aren't noticing. Which is referring to THRAWN, right?
Which lines up with Carson Teva.
Absolutely. I would love to see Ahsoka and Carson interact.
Hell.
Because I really love Carson Teva.
He's great.
But they also confirmed that David Tennant is playing Huyang, but that all of his lines were pre-recorded. So they didn't get to act off David Tennant. They're acting off his pre-recordings, which is fine.
Because he's like a robot anyway. It's
yeah, but you still do K2SO or C3PO. You still,
fair.
But
I think
but them saying
David
that,
Tennant,
sure. But them saying that also makes me think, how much is he in this show? If they're bringing that up, it means he's in the show for more than one scene.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're able to pre-record all this stuff, and he doesn't need to be on set, and he was just in some voice booth over in the UK somewhere, probably.
Right.
He could be in the show a lot. I don't know. His voice could be on the ship. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know he might be filming Doctor Who stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because he is coming back to Doctor Who.
Yep.
So, what did is there anything in that, before we get to the next batch of things, is there anything in that Star Wars Explained thread that I'm missing?
Let me see here. What can we say about them? When asked about Ray Stevenson and
okay, that's the next. That's the next. The villains are going to be the next batch. So
yeah.
Here's the full. Yeah, she says, while Ahsoka is not a Jedi, she is driven to do good. Super interesting. Totally not what we're talking about here. But they had mentioned they cut down the amount of time to an hour and a half to make up Rosario. Where it used to take more than 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that the Montrals are synthetic skin over a 3D printed skeleton. So, like, that's like a human body part.
Yeah, that's wild. I wonder how real. I mean, like, we've seen it in the trailer, but I don't know, to see it more in a scene as opposed to just action and short clips.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that's exactly going to come across on screen.
Yeah.
I bet the show is already looking amazing, and when you are improving upon your prosthetics and all of that, I think it's going to come across because like back in the day you would like digitally put that on like an actor or whatever, but that they're able to replicate what it might be like in real life, it's gotta be like a freaky thing actually. First off.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to point out, I think for future reference for next time, I think we can use the shots from these panels. Okay. Because if there's enough pictures where I go, oh, they're letting them have their phones out, so they're not afraid of this stuff coming out.
Fair point.
Right. And if Alex and Laura are doing it, I feel like they're not doing it on the slide. They're doing it,
Right.
They're posting that shit on Maine. So, okay. So yeah, Ray Stevenson and Ivana, I don't know her name.
Yeah.
But she plays Shin Hati. There's a shot of them together that they show on the Jumbotron, and so we know they are linked. We know they're linked more than just.
Now, is Jumbotron in Ahsoka? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, Jumbotron is the new droid, played by who played Tron?
Played Tron?
Spader?
Wait, what?
Who played Tron? James Spader?
Tron?
Oh, I'm thinking of Ultron. Sorry, Jumbotron is Ultron's.
Yeah, James Spader.
Yeah. Can we bump Frank's volume up? Yeah, I certainly can.
I just turned my own gain up on my end, so maybe that works.
Yeah, but I can pump you up too.
Oh, double pump?
Let's get a double pump.
Okay.
Double pump in the house, boys.
Maybe just talk closer into the mic. Even that'll probably work too. There's a lot of things we can do to fix the volume here. Anyways, yeah. So that shot I'm seeing on that thread, very cool.
Yeah, I like the next one of what can we say about them, and Dave just says absolutely nothing.
Which of course, that's fine.
Which is more confirmation for my clone theory. It's not. But yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more confirmation to not disprove your clone
right
theory.
Sure. There is a shot here of it looks like they're with like a fight choreographer or a stunt trainer.
Yes.
And it's Rosario with that person and then someone else in a mask and cloak. And I hope that's Ray Stevenson because I so want to cosplay this and I want that helmet.
I don't know if that does not look like
it could be
double for Ray Stevenson.
I guess it could be the other one, Yvonne or Shin Hati.
No, I think that's the Inquisitor, right?
You're right. That's probably the Inquisitor.
And
I don't know. We'll have to wait for more images.
Which is interesting because, like, I think it's not. I mean, in Star Wars Explained thread, Alex doesn't say that's the Inquisitor,
right?
But it looks like with the Eighth Brother, where everyone's theorizing, right? So,
do we have the Eighth Brother in anything already? I don't know.
It was in Rebels. He was in Rebels.
Oh, he was? Okay. That was the Fifth Brother. The Eighth Brother was also there.
There's so many of them. I don't know.
But
I think we've seen this. This one
real,
in animation before.
Real big family.
Yeah, it's a Partridge Family type of thing.
All right, let's quit bouncing around. Let's talk about the reveals, right? So we have the slate of directors. We have
Yeah, this is interesting because I didn't think this public knowledge before or not. I don't think
no,
so. Well, at
no, no,
least I
no.
never heard
I
about
mean,
it.
there's been some speculation and stuff, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. So we have Dave Filoni, Steph Green, Peter Ramsey, Jennifer Getzinger, Greta Patel, and Rick Famuyiwa. Um, I'm gonna be totally honest because this is not my specialty. I don't know anyone here except for Dave and Rick. So I feel like
Well,
I've
Peter
heard. I was
Ramsey
gonna say I
just
feel like
did.
I've heard of Peter Ramsey.
He just did not this past episode, the one before
Okay.
for Mandalorian. Steph Green, yeah, the other three women. First of all, that's great that you have women directors for a show that's being led by
Three.
Ahsoka.
Well,
So,
not just Ahsoka, but
oh
Hera
yeah, I mean
and
it's
Sabine.
a heavily
Right.
female dominated cast, um, and so I think that's important. I'm looking forward to seeing. And so there's only 6 directors. Does that mean there's 6 episodes of Ahsoka?
No,
Or did
because
like Dave double
I
up
would
or do
assume
more than
I
did
would
like three
assume
or
Dave
four
did
episodes?
two. I would assume
Yeah,
Dave did two and Rick did two,
maybe.
or Steph Green did. Dave did two and someone else did two.
Yeah.
Jane says the eighth brother is the one whose lightsaber breaks as he falls from the temple.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Um.
He could have lived, but probably didn't.
Well, he might live, right? Like he could have followed her through the world between worlds or something. Who knows, right? I don't know.
It's yeah.
The other big reveal: Kevin Kiner is coming back to
Oh hell.
to do the score. Kevin Kiner. I was listening to Rebels. I watched probably 4 or 5 episodes of Rebels last night.
Mhm.
The main Rebels theme is so fucking good, and all of his riffs on we talk a lot in the main show about that track, the IG-88 train track
And
on
Ord Mantell
on Ord Mantell, and
from
how I
Shadow
love that
Stone.
track. He uses that track a lot in the first couple episodes of Rebels, and his version
Ah.
of it is so good. Because
He's really good at meshing the old with his style.
exactly,
And his work in Bad Batch this past season. Oh my god! Like I can't even begin to imagine the awesomeness that we're gonna get with Ahsoka. 'Cause I mean,
hmm
it's just it is an extension of Clone Wars of Rebels, and he's been doing all of that music and scoring pretty much all of Ahsoka, right?
yeah,
That we've seen aside from like a couple Mandalorian episodes, but so I'm like that he's going to be a part of this series um in a huge way because music in Star Wars is just as big as a
it's
character as Darth
it's
Vader, Anakin, right?
huge.
It's massive, and he's built up quite a following, I think, within the fandom, as most of the composers do. Even like Nicholas Bertel and Ludwig Göransson, they all have their specific styles that have really expanded what John Williams gave to Star Wars, and a lot of Star Wars fans, one of the things we all love about Star Wars is the music,
Yeah, I
and
mean, I would argue Kiner has built off Williams more than anyone else. Because he's the only one that has worked in mediums where you're allowed to go back to the well, right? Like Andor,
yeah.
for the most part, Andor
Michael
and Mandal.
Giacchino was mostly doing his own thing with
Right.
One.
He did a little bit of derivation, but for the most part, the live action shows for the most part have had all their own unique script or
Yeah.
score, which take that or leave that. I don't know, but I'm excited to have Kiner back, and I actually would hope Kiner does a lot more new stuff for this, rather than go back to the well. However,
Oh, I think so, yeah.
I want that Rebels theme in the show somewhere.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
There's some version of it, a new version maybe of it.
I just want the
Um,
titles. I don't know if Ahsoka might have her own theme. I'm not sure, but I want the main title theme to just be.
well, it's not. It's an Ahsoka show. It's not a Rebels. I mean, as much as it is,
It's
Rebels
kind of a
2.0,
Rebel show.
But here's the other thing: we don't know exactly how much Hera's gonna be in it. Sabine's gonna be in it.
No,
we
that's
know
fair.
we know that they're gonna have impact for sure. But I mean, I think it's going to be about Ahsoka. It's going to be like season 2 of Mandalorian with Din. It's like
Yeah,
Ahsoka, but you have all these other players coming in. I think that's probably how it might feel. especially when you have Hera and Sabine and presumably Zeb and Chop. I mean, I hope Chopper's like following Ahsoka around the whole series.
I don't expect to see Zeb that much, if at all.
I mean, who knows?
Like, I might make him that. There's that shot of Ahsoka's ship flying into Lothal. I might make him one of the pilots there.
That would be cool.
But I also expect, like, that planet had a bunch of Y-Wings on it. I kind of expect Zeb's a Y-Wing pilot, not an X-Wing pilot. Feels like a roomier cockpit.
Yeah.
But he did fit in a TIE fighter, so who knows? All right, the big reveal, what we've all been waiting for, what we all kind of knew. Lars Mikkelsen is returning to play Grand Admiral Mithron Naruto. Our blue boy. Yeah, that's. Have you ever seen his phone?
Like the anime? Yeah, I've seen Naruto. Yeah.
Like the anime.
I mean, he is animated, first of all, and then you said, anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, he's coming back to play the rod.
No, very cool.
Yeah.
that it's official now, and he doesn't have to lie anymore.
Yeah, because he's outright lied about it so far, which is great, right? Like, I kind of prefer actors just fucking outright lie and just be like, no, I'm not in the show. Sorry, leave me alone. Go away. Let them get revealed when they want to reveal it. Mm-hmm. I like speculation and the occasional leak as much as the next guy, but yeah, that's kind of it, I think.
They did show some other footage that included THRAWN at this panel, exclusive footage,
and there was and may or may not have included a creature that we are all familiar with. From it's the last tweet in the Star Wars Explained thread.
Oh, okay, I didn't get that far. But I did want to say they show Sabine using Ezra's lightsaber. That's what Alex tweeted.
Oh, that's cool.
That's sick. Wondering, like, also why? Like, what is she doing? Like, what is involved in that? So
she is trained to use she's trained to use the lightsaber.
Oh no, I know that, but I'm just wondering, like, what situation is she in where she's using this lightsaber and whatnot, and is it like in tandem with Ahsoka? It's like that would be sick, So
well, also we talked about yesterday how she's not wearing the armor in the trailer.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. We have seen a shot of her live action with the armor. But that's live action with the armor when she has short hair.
Right.
So
that was the mural, the mural shot. Yeah.
There's a shot of her leaning over the railing.
Oh, that one too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means. Who knows? We'll find out.
It's also a blaster as well. The lightsaber.
No. He lost that one.
Oh, he did. That's right.
Yeah, he got a new one. He got a new one. It's a lot like Luke's.
Oh, wait, did he?
Yeah, he lost the blaster lightsaber, and then in the last season he has a normal lightsaber. Kind of a more adult kind of like an aging up of the character.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch Rebels again.
Yeah. I think that's it for Ahsoka, which is cool. Cool. Then we move on to High Republic, which. Let me find a thread for that. We're not going to go into as much detail with the High Republic because, let's be frank here. Frank and I are not all caught up on it.
No, not even remotely.
Right. But they had lots of the authors and artists from the comics and all that stuff come out.
But to all the High Republic fans out there, it does feel like I'm missing out. Just want you to know I feel like I am missing out. So I'm gonna get in there at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I've read the first 3 books for High Republic, and I've started the 4th one and then just got sidetracked by other stuff. But I love the setting. The setting for High Republic is right up my alley, right? Like the medieval Arthurian, I mean, I'm wearing a fucking Dungeons & Dragons shirt right now, right? Like,
look at that.
You don't get more. I don't know. High Republic seems like it's right up my alley. But there's lots of little like, hey, it's going to explore this, it's going to explore that. I don't know enough plot details to even expound upon it. But they added some new authors to the fold, and we found out that High Republic will go through about mid 2025.
Wow.
At least the publishing initiative. Phase 3, so Wave 1 will end in March 2024, but I don't really know. Like, they do it in waves and phases. So Phase 3 begins in fall and begins 1 year after the fall of Starlight Beacon. Starting in October, it looks like Wave 1 will end March 2024. So I guess they do it in waves and phases. I know they did 2 waves for... Mm-hmm. I followed Phase 1. They did 2 waves for Phase 1, and then they moved on to Phase 2, and Phase 3 should be kind of our next batch. But they did say this is just the beginning for the High Republic, which kind of leads me to something I pointed out before stream with the age of a certain character, which we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So they brought out the Acolyte producer, Leslie Headland. And they showed the Acolyte trailer again to the assembled panel. And they also introduced the fact that Rebecca Henderson will be playing Vanessa Rowe, who is in like all of the High Republic stuff. She's in quite a lot of it. Okay. She first shows up in Test of Courage and the first one, Light of the Jedi.
Light of the Jedi, yes.
Yeah.
That's the only book I have.
but she's like 15 in those.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of my question: is if she's 15, they're clearly aging up the character. So at what point does this take place, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what species is she?
She's a Mary Allen. She's like Luminara and Barriss.
Copy. Gotcha.
She just.
I mean, like they also like it doesn't really necessarily. You're more talking about where in the timeline as opposed to just her age. I mean, yeah, she's gonna be older, but like that doesn't have.
Well, I guess what I'm talking about is there's gonna be a big jump between the end of Wave 3 or the end of Phase 3 and the Acolyte. Yeah. So we're going to be missing a whole bunch of story between doing the classic Star Wars thing of giving us another property that with a gap, right? Yeah. So eventually they're going to have to go in and fill in that gap.
Which
I'm cool. I'm all for. Well, but the Acolyte takes place after. Like, it's just super interesting to me. That was something that I caught. I'm like, hey, this is weird. It's interesting. It's
yeah.
I like it. But I think that's our first character we have confirmed to jump between the Acolyte and
High Republic.
Which I will briefly mention Star Wars Eclipse, which we're probably not going to get any news on. Supposedly is going to take place at the end of the High Republic.
Interesting.
So if that game happens...
So that's right around Acolyte then time. Because Acolyte's only 100 years out from the Fall of the Jedi era.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think it might even be closer than that.
Eclipse,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure. Mm-hmm. I haven't followed a lot on that game because of the, for obvious reasons. But that's about it for High Republic. I do need to get back into High Republic. I really want to reread it. Last Celebration, I had been harassed by one Laura Kelly to read High Republic, and I said I was going to. I read one more book, I think Into the Dark or Gathering Storm or something, and then kind of fell off again.
I just need to actually just sit down and be like, I'm gonna finally do it and just stop dilly-dallying,
Yeah, but I want to read the THRAWN trilogy again first.
I know, kind of. I was
So,
looking at that the other day too.
yeah,
I was like,
I'm gonna
at least Heir to the Empire, at least that one.
yeah, I'm gonna go through Rebels and then reread the Thrawn trilogy, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next batch of stuff we have is not directly Celebration related. This is from the press doing sort of almost red carpet style interviews with people leaving and coming and going from panels. So just a couple tidbits that we're kind of going to rapid fire through. They're all really interesting. I'm going to start with from Frosty at Collider, Steve Weintraub. Got a quick chance to stop Dave Filoni and had a quick talk with Dave Filoni. And he asked him about the episode length of Ahsoka. Sorry. He said, "Is Ahsoka going to be the same length as Mandalorian, or are we going to see longer episodes?" And Dave said, "Well, I prefer the faster, more intense school of thought from." He said him and John like to work with the faster, more intense school of thought from George Lucas. And that kind of explains their episode length. They do a lot of cuts to those episodes, which tells us there's a lot of things that we're not seeing, that they're shooting and we're not seeing, which is fine.
It's faster and more intense doesn't mean shorter. It just means.
Well, it means it's part of it.
I know what he's saying.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's funny. It's funny.
Well, but from the production side of things, it does mean cut, right? It means cut the unnecessary.
Yeah.
Which doesn't explain the last episode of Mandalorian, but I digress. Because that could have been a real fast. I did too. I'm not complaining about the episode, but I'm saying if they had followed that rule on that episode, it would have been a real fast.
Oh well, yeah.
It would have been a real fast 10 minutes there.
Who knows what that original cut looked like then?
Yeah, exactly. Dave says that that's my next thing. Ahsoka episodes will probably end up being similar in length to Mandalorian, but he did say they may possibly end up a little bit longer, which is great.
I'd like to think they got probably let's say there's 8 episodes, right? I'd like to think they have 6 episodes in the can. If Acolyte has 4, and it's a year out,
they're probably done. They're probably done with Ahsoka already.
More or less, probably.
They're well into post production and such.
Yeah.
So,
but he knows how long these episodes are, and yeah, he's gonna pull the classic Dave Filoni.
He did
possibly. Yeah,
he did mention they were still in the process of making some cuts, so he doesn't know the final lengths. But the other thing Frosty asked him was, for someone who hasn't seen Rebels, what should they watch before Ahsoka? And his answer was really interesting.
Okay.
He said start with Jedi Knight, which is in season 4. It's in season 4.
Oh, okay.
It's the hey guys, spoiler for Star Wars Rebels. It is the episode that crushes me every time. Kanan.
Oh man, yeah, I was about to say.
He said to start with that episode.
Man, that's wild.
That is a wild statement. He then goes on to say, even if they haven't seen the rest of the series, and if it's someone who's not really an animation fan and not really accustomed to watching a whole lot of animation, they can just watch season 4 and they'll get the general. They'll get the general emotional beats, see what the crew's been through, and they should be covered that way. So I thought it was really interesting of just watch season 4. And he acknowledges all of it's great. Clearly he thinks so. It's, his show. Yeah. But kind of interesting, a creator saying, yeah, just watch the last season of my show.
That is interesting. Also, as a note, if you go on Disney Plus app, they do have now the Essential Ahsoka playlist, if you will.
Really?
On the Star Wars page, yes. And there's probably 15 or 20 episodes between Clone Wars and Rebels, and then obviously the few Mandalorian episodes she's been in. I can't wait for that. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. I might rifle through that as well, because I was thinking about what episodes of Ahsoka that have Ahsoka,
Yeah, I'm gonna do all of Clone Wars. I'm gonna do all of Rebels, but I might do that for Clone Wars. Look what's in that playlist. For
yeah.
That's cool. The next thing, we're getting Return of the Jedi is coming back to theaters.
Yes.
So we have a new poster.
End of the month, right?
It will be April 28th through May 4th.
Woo.
So we have a new poster.
Are we going? Are we going?
Well, we talked about it with. We already kind of knew this, right? We talked about this with Garrett.
Yeah, that's right.
New poster off camera. We talked about it with Garrett off camera. New poster looks amazing.
That looks
right?
awesome.
I need this poster. It is so fucking good. Do I wish we had a more central shot of Leia in here? Do I wish Han was on the trailer, on the poster? Absolutely, right? Do I love the actual Return of the Jedi poster with all the Jabba's palace folk and stuff? Yes, absolutely. Leia's just barely in this poster, in the bottom bottom left corner on the bike.
I can't really see the logo there, but okay. I believe you. Wait, really? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for fitting her in. Jeez.
Well,
but I understand the theme of like what's going on.
Yeah. So the artist, the artist did talk about it, and I don't know if it's in this article that I have up. Oh yeah. It is from. The poster is drawn by Matt Ferguson, who's done quite a few posters before. He said, "I'm so happy and grateful to get to work on these movies again, even more so for being given the freedom to continue what I started with Empire. For that poster, a cold mechanical vibe completely takes over the whole composition. But Return of the Jedi is much the triumph of Luke and the Rebels, so I wanted to have more warmer colors coming back into the art, hence pivoting to the green and red accents." And he said, the artwork should tell a story, so for me it only made sense to give over the composition to those two characters. Right?
Yeah.
And I think this really handles like the themes of Jedi really well, because it shows, and he even talks about it a little bit here, and I'm totally noticing that in that poster. It's the shadow of Vader looming over Luke, right?
Yeah.
The attempt to turn Luke to the dark side. So, I'm curious if this is the poster. Sorry. This poster back here, I'm wondering if that's the other one he did. I don't have a way to zoom out, but the
Empire
one.
That Empire? Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the 40th anniversary ones, so that's
cool.
I think what he's referring to. But yeah, that's cool. Great to have that back in theaters,
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I love watching the original trilogy movies in the theater. There's nothing like it. And to see this one up there, ooh, it's going to be... And they've probably... actually, this version... Oh, never mind. I was going to say something.
This version has not been in theaters.
Well, I think it has... Well, because I saw the original trilogy... Well, I did the whole saga marathon leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So I don't know if there's like much of a difference.
I don't count that because that's
one
different.
And then whatever they're going to show at the end of the month. So I don't. There probably wouldn't be.
The way I see it, that's different because that's not really a re-release. That's a special event for to put on by the theaters.
There's not going to be. There's nothing like they're not adding a McClunky, in this version Return. That's coming out at the end of the month.
No, but I don't think we've had it with an actual release since. The Vader line changes in the throne room. Those are there in the versions you saw, but what I'm saying is that's a special, that's not a release, that's a special event put on by the theater.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got you. Okay,
so there is a little bit of a difference there. It's not Star Wars releasing them, it's not Lucasfilm releasing them, it's the theater putting on that event. Right?
I mean, I don't know it was all across the country. It wasn't like just like.
I know, but it's like AMC putting on that event, or
yeah, but they have to get those from Disney. They don't.
Sure they do. They're streaming. They're on fucking Disney Plus.
Well, I mean,
you're
exactly.
right. You're absolutely right. Okay, so this is the stuff I really want to talk. Well, actually, I'm going to leave these last two from Kennedy last, and we're going to talk about Rick Famuyiwa, producer and director for The Mandalorian. At various stages of... It seems like he's gotten more involved this season and at the end of last season.
Well, yeah, he's executive producer for a reason, I guess.
But was he in the? He wasn't in the first season, was he?
No, no.
Okay. So he must Dave and John must really like working with him then.
Yeah.
But he confirmed that the Mandalorian no longer directly refers to Din Djarin.
I think that's been obvious this season.
I think it's been obvious this season, but to have it straight from the producer's mouth, right?
Yeah.
He said, I think what's been interesting as we've been on this journey of the show, and now that we're at this point, is what does the title mean?
Yeah, totally.
Right? And he basically talked about how there's multiple Mandalorians at this point that share the spotlight. So we've kind of joked about Bo-Katan being the lead this season, but they're basically confirming, yeah, like Bo-Katan's one of the leads this season, more so than just a side character.
And it's not like this conversation couldn't have been had in season 1 or 2, because even if you just narrow it down to, is it the Mandalorian about Grogu, or is it about Din Djarin, or is it about both of them? And like, you could have that conversation about the title with just those two characters, right? Well, so you're essentially doing the same thing. You're just expanding the roster of how does that title apply to other characters that they introduce in the show, whether it's Bo-Katan, Grogu, Paz Vizsla, the armor, like whatever you want, or just the culture itself. So like, it's not, and I know people out there are like, this show it's about Din's the Mandalorian. They always call him the Mandalorian. And I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing. You're not for the people who are, I guess, perturbed that Din is not the main character anymore. I guess that's a valid gripe.
Yeah,
but I think a show should also be allowed to evolve, and that's clearly what
absolutely
I think they're doing
well
here.
And I think I have two thoughts on this, right? The episode titles have clearly always been double entendre, like
yeah,
right, like they've always had multiple meanings. The other thing is, I think season 2 really exemplifies this idea of multiple Mandalorians, because even from Git, we have Cobb Vanth, who's a man in Mandalorian armor who is not a Mandalorian, but he exemplifies what it should mean to be a Mandalorian, right? So I think they've played really interesting with this whole concept. I think they've been doing it the whole time. Even from season 1, where Din is sort of building his own little clan of non-Mandalorians, why can't they also just be Mandalorians? Now, I don't think Grief Karga wants to be considered a Mandalorian,
right?
But I think they've played with this concept the whole series, and I think us as fans, and before we did the podcast, we've kind of talked about it. It's always kind of been like this, right? We've always kind of thought, oh, the Mandalorian, it means more than just Din, right? What if we moved? Right. What if? And the same thing with Book of Boba Fett, right? They should have just called that the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, right? I think it would have been received a lot better if they'd done that.
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I think. I think probably because they had such a chunk of story to tell about Boba Fett, they might as well make it. This is the Book of Boba Fett within the Mandalorian, sure. And that's you could go and like that's the route they went. But yeah, I think the way you described it just now is also I think they could have done the same thing, but either way, they are. I think they know they're gonna get some flack for
sure.
Well, it's the Mandalorian now. It's Boba Fett's show, and then
but
there's always gonna be that crowd.
I think the reason it's called because the Book of Boba Fett is such a weird Star Wars title. Like we don't have, aside from Journal of the Whills, like there's no book reference in Star Wars, right? But
I guess,
but the way the Mandalorian episodes are titled is chapter blank.
Yes.
So it makes sense for it to be like. If you release that, like, hey, this is the greater Mandalorian story, what we're telling in The Mandalorian, but the Book of Boba Fett always to me seemed like this is his volume of this same story, right?
Totally, yeah.
Especially
when you look at the finale, the last 2 episodes or 3 episodes, of the Book of Boba Fett, like it's when you look at it that way, which isn't super easy for some people out there.
No,
sure. But yeah, I mean, you can make it make sense, and yeah, you might have to stretch it a little bit to make it make sense for like within your own mind, and that's a legitimate
Hmm.
criticism. But um, I the the title isn't so much as important as what's happening in the show for me. Like if it's the Mandalorian and it's like a lot of Bo-Katan or Boba Fett, like that's not going to be like, what is this show about anymore?
Right,
Like
right.
that doesn't happen for me. I just go, wow, that was a great episode, or
Sure.
what's going to happen next. So but that's just me.
All right. These last two are straight from Kathleen Kennedy's mouth. Um, I was going to say straight from the horse's mouth, but then I thought that people would think I'm insulting Kathleen Kennedy. I don't have any problem with Kathleen Kennedy, so. But straight from the desk of the chief of Lucasfilm herself. Which one do you want to start with?
Whichever one you have at top here. What's the one you have?
Lando.
Lando. Yeah.
So Kathleen Kennedy says regarding the Lando series, I can't tell. I can just tell you it's still happening, and he, referring to Donald Glover, is very excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is very excited about the right story, which he talked about in another interview. Like
What, a
last
week
week or
ago,
whatever it was,
week and a half ago?
something like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm all about." He's like, "Yeah, that's something we can." I think he said we're talking about. I think he said we're talking about it, but he's like, "I'm just not going to come back for a paycheck." And so because first of all, he does not need it.
He doesn't
wants
need
to do
it.
something.
Yeah.
He wants to do something meaningful, and he has reiterated how much he does love the character, and he wants to do right by the character. So in that sense, it seems like Kathleen Kennedy is like, we just got to get the right story, and it's going to happen with Donald Glover.
Right.
You know.
I mean, I feel like, I don't pretend to know his lived experience, but I know from other friends of mine, like, I feel like being a black nerd growing up, you have very few touchstones, right? Like,
Sure.
of course, Lando is one of those, so he's got to do right by shepherding that character and keeping that character growing. And I mean, everyone fucking loves. I don't know anyone who ever's like, a character I really hate in Star Wars, Lando Calrissian, right? So yeah, I'm glad that he's taking the initiative to kind of be like, hey, yeah, I want to do this, right? And I think we as fans all want it. So I'm very excited for it. I am glad she's very open with like, yeah, this is still in the works. Like, this is not, because executives tend to be very coy with their answers, right?
Yeah.
This is not a very coy answer. This is like, yeah, we're still working on it. Like, we don't have any news to share, but we're still working on it. Like, if
I want to.
I feel like, go ahead.
I want to touch on something like her wording here, saying I can just tell you it's still happening. That just may only reference the development of the show.
So
like,
that was
she's being like, you're talking about being like cagey with your words. Like, yeah, it's still happening. We're still like, without saying, yeah, we're still developing it. But she says, yeah, it's still happening.
So I'm going to push back on this.
I'm just saying it could work both ways.
I'm going to push back on this because I feel like normal like executive speak would be, it's still in development, is your cagey way of saying it, right? Or we're still moving along, we're still somewhere along with, like, I feel like saying it's still happening is a lot more Janine, I wish we were on StreamYard just so I can pull up Janine's comment, because I don't have a way to do it in OBS. But Janine says, I'm all for black people in space.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is a lot more direct than what we normally get out of Kathleen.
But if I'm reading between the lines and taking what Don Glover said recently and what Kathleen is saying, it seems like it's actually more in the development phase than it is in we're starting shooting in 6 months, right?
So, absolutely. But
I think that's, so like, to say it's still happening, that's why I'm.
But also, we already have a full slate of shows.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would fit Mandalorian, because they have a clear, gap they want between series, which is getting shorter. And I don't want to get overloaded with Star Wars, and I don't think Lucasfilm wants us to get overloaded with Star Wars. Because how long did we as an audience say we're never going to get superhero fatigue?
Yeah.
Guess what's here?
For some,
right?
Yes, that's true.
I think for a lot of people, I think superhero.
Yeah, for a lot
right?
of people, probably.
The box office reflects the fact that I, a huge fucking superhero fan, have not seen a superhero movie in a year.
Well,
Yeah.
Either way, though, I will be happy to see this be officially like announced at some celebration in the next 2 years now, or a year and a half, whatever it's going to be from today's date. That'd be great. Or it's announced wherever. I would gladly welcome a Lando series of like 6-8 episodes. And like if Donald Glover, if it's when it is finally announced, I think I'm going to have a lot of faith in Donald Glover, more specifically, that he found the right story. He felt good enough about that they have a good enough story that he's willing to come back and do this, and that would give me a lot of promise for the project.
A lot of faith in the project. Yeah, I agree.
A lot of faith. Yeah, a lot of faith.
I agree with that. And I think that's partially intentional, right? I think them showing their work, kind of being like, yeah, like we're waiting for the right story, I think is partially intentional, right? Like, I have a feeling that this is like
a negotiation tactic.
No, that this.
I don't know if he's signed.
No. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that this is a done deal, all but in writing, and they're just waiting because
like Rogue One or like Rogue Squadron movie.
No, because that's what I want to contrast this with, right?
Okay.
But I feel like this is a done deal, in that like they're ready to pull the trigger. The shot's just not lined up yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Which brings us to our next thing. This, I feel like, is a lot more of a wishy-washy answer. This is a lot more of an executive type answer. She was asked about Rogue Squadron, and whether or not that was still happening. And Kennedy said, Rogue Squadron, that's definitely something that we still talk about. Whether it's a movie or whether it ends up being in the series space, that's definitely something. That's an executive answer that we're more used to hearing, right? Like, yeah, we'd love to make a Carl the Chameleon series, but we know Carl the Chameleon is a fan favorite character, and we talk about him all the time. Maybe we make a movie, maybe it's a series, maybe Willow will come back, who knows, right? Like, that's, I feel like, what I expect out of these executives. But it does give me hope.
I mean, it doesn't. This isn't really something like groundbreaking, earth shattering, or
you were gonna say newsworthy, and then you realize we're doing this on a news.
No. But no, what I'm saying is, like, of course, like I think Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy would like to make something centered around Rogue Squadron. I think they feel like that's an area they want to explore, much in the way they're exploring other areas in the timeline that with the movies, right? And they have pinpointed Rogue Squadron is right for storytelling. There's a lot we can do. There's a lot of new characters, and there's a lot of excitement that can come along with a series or a movie that is a Rogue Squadron type of movie or series. And just because, what's her face? I can't think of her name right now. What is? Siri just popped up on my computer, and you can't hear it probably.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Siri. Sorry. Why can't I think of the director that Jenkins?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. There we go. Oof, it's not that early, but
it's early. We've had a long week. We've had a long couple weeks here at the Scoundrels Scoundrel Dome.
Yeah, but just because Patty Jenkins isn't attached to the project anymore doesn't mean that that's done and over with forever. So these comments, while I do like the fact that they're like still eyeing Rogue Squadron as a property to invest their time in, is great. I think I would rather have a series a la Battlestar Galactica than I would a movie.
Agreed.
Um, because I think the budgets and the capabilities on TV shows are almost the same as movies nowadays. There's still discrepancies, but
Yeah.
what I would still want to see a Rogue Squadron in the theater with the sound and the screen, all that. Absolutely, that would be phenomenal, and they could still do that. They could still, I mean, look, just because you have one event type of movie that Filoni's going to make doesn't mean you can't do that in the future again.
Sure.
Right? That doesn't mean that's a one-off. So maybe you still have some other shows that are running, like Skeleton Crew. I think could be a one that goes on and on. Even Mandalorian, and then you bring in Rogue Squadron as a show, and then you bring in Carson Teva and whoever else, and then you have another event type movie. That could be something that
It's a
they
buddy
end
cop
up doing.
movie. It's a buddy cop series with Carson and Zeb.
That'd be great. That's
Yeah.
great. Cat.
The budget worries me, right? Because I think with TV, what we've seen through these series is we have a couple episodes that will have one or two shots with ships really like doing ship things, and even less of dogfighting. This season we've had a lot more dogfights in Mandalorian. I fucking love that, man. What they've been able to do this season with the N1 and with the Gauntlet and with the Marauder Corvette, whatever you want to call that thing.
Mm-hmm. The pirates and all
yeah,
that stuff.
I fucking love that kind of stuff. So give me more of that, please. Yeah, it gives me hope. Not a whole lot to go off of there, but I think.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like if you did like a Battlestar Galactica type of show, like there wasn't a whole lot of flying in that show, but it was based around Battlestar Galactica, and yeah, they got into skirmishes and fights with the Cylons and all that stuff, but it wasn't full-fledged fleet battles all the time. It was there's a different type of show, but like
you want the story of a New Republic carrier dealing with the Imperial Remnant.
That would be sick. Okay. Sign me up, dude.
Yeah, me too. All right, hey guys, that's pretty much it for Celebration Day 2. We're still waiting. Here's the thing, right? When we started this stream, Celebration is still going. So there's still news that's going to come out while we're after we end. Anything else we'll cover tomorrow or Monday. Tomorrow, Frank will not be joining me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we're going to have another guest or what, but most likely we will be live briefly tomorrow to discuss what we know is going to be a Jedi Fallen Order trailer and hopefully a little bit more news as well. So join us tomorrow. Stay tuned on Twitter and the Discord to see what time and when we're going to go live, because it could shift. It could change. Who knows? And if there's no other news other than the Fallen Order trailer, we may not. Jedi Survivor, I should say. We may not go live at all, and we may just post a trailer reaction either later that evening, or I'll do it myself in the morning. I would love that if Jill's a bit camera shy. She doesn't like being in front of the camera. Doesn't really like performing. So if I can convince her, and she notoriously hates Star Wars and all things Star Wars. So
that's great.
If I can convince her, maybe
you're a lucky man.
Yeah, well, I like to keep Star Wars all for myself.
Yeah.
Usually she comes in and gives me a dirty look at the doorway by now, but she's not doing it. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be covering more Celebration the next few days, the next week, and probably beyond that. And we will, be doing Mandalorian this Thursday. And I can't wait.
From everything we're hearing online, the whispers.
I know.
Mandalorian, these last two. Ooh.
I know. All right, I'm going to go get some food in me because apparently I don't eat before these streams.
I was going to say, this is about to be a running
Well, it's because I'm like, hey, I want to set up the tech thing. I was setting stuff up, and I want to make sure things are right. Usually Frank's responsible for all the technical behind the scenes, but when we do live streams through digital, I always...
He's the man on this one.
I'm the guy for that. So, all right, we will see you all tomorrow morning, and if not, we'll see you Monday evening. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.